I'm Ashtree, and this is my adventure show. Ouchie. It feels right, and there's something biting my bum. That didn't feel good. Maybe that's what I was. It's pretty creepy in this ravine. There's quite a few little bones, not little, in this cave. So, oops. Yeah, so that's a moldy piece of poop. Yeah, one of my favorite mottos that I created is learn to live and live to learn. So today I am on a walk on a family member's nature reserve. I've walked in this direction many times, but I've only taken the roads, which are man-made, human-made, and I've realized that when I run along that road or walk along that road quite loudly and in my own human kind of disconnected bubble, the rest of nature kind of hides itself from me, because humans have this capacity to be very loud and destructive. So today I'm walking on a cattle path, an animal, it's not cattle, it's game on this farm. So the path I'm walking has been made by zebras, I think, and other animals walk it as well, like the vervets and the baboons, but I think it's been worn by the zebras along the mountains here. And I've ended up in a spot that I didn't know existed on the reserve, because I'm following nature today instead of human paths, which are quite limited. So yeah, let's see where we end up, or not where we end up, because it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Somebody lives here. And I just walked through a spider web. Hey, adventures are not for the faint-hearted. Just a little burrow. Don't know whether somebody lives here or if it's just left over from a warthog or an aardvark looking for food. These are the things I have to ask people because I don't know yet. I know a lot of things. I know so many things that I know that there's a lot that I don't know. And I also know that knowing things isn't really what life's about. It's more the discovery and the adventure that forms the knowing. The path to knowing is adventure and discovery, and I think that's what life's about. I mean, one day when you die, you're gonna know a whole bunch of things, but the things that you know aren't gonna be what make you who you are. It's gonna be the ways that you came to know the things that you know, which were the adventures and the lessons and the mistakes and the whole processes, all the processes that you went through in your human journey to become the human that you are at the end of your journey. Look at some poo! Don't know whose poo that is, it's quite small. I'll have to ask Adie or Morton whose poo this is. But there's lots of it around here. Oh, to me, that looks maybe like, I keep wanting to say zonkie because there's mountain zebras here, and we've been calling them zonkies because there's, which I didn't know until coming to this reserve, that there are normal zebras and mountain zebras. And normal zebras look like mini horses, like ponies, and mountain zebras look like donkeys with stripes. So we've been calling them zonkies, which is funny, but it's kind of ruined the... Now when I see them, I just see donkeys, Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's a little bit less majestic than a zebra, I would say. Here's some more poo. Tiny, tiny, tiny poo. Which makes me think it's some kind of little rodent, maybe a dussie. But it might even be smaller than dussie, so once again I'll have to consult with the experts. And by experts I mean people with more knowledge than me yet. So that path over there is the one that I usually take, the one that the cars take. And today I walked along here, up there. I don't know if you can see it. There's lots and lots and lots of little paths there from, I think from animals, but also probably just from the water running down the mountain. But that was definitely a specific path that I followed. I think it was the Zonkie path. So here we are. Yeah, that's the path I usually take. So glad I decided to take another path today. Look how beautiful that valley is. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go there. So I was gonna go to that other peak, but where I was standing there was this like rattly noise. Don't know what that is, but it sounds a bit scary. Might just be an insect. I hope so. And I'm pretty sure it was just a bug, like some kind of locust or something, but I don't know that. And it did sound a little bit like a snake. I don't know where the puff adders rattle. That may seem ignorant to some people, but I don't know. And in my ever ongoing quest for knowledge, one of the biggest things I've had to accept is that there's a lot of things that I don't know. And if I pretend to know things I don't know, I can end up getting hurt or looking like a fool. Neither of which I particularly enjoy. So I have learned, whilst not letting fear to rule my life, I have learned to not be dumb and arrogant and to not stumble on into places that I'm not feeling sure about. So don't go into crazy nature places unless you feel competent. And in that situation, my knowledge did not feel developed enough for me to progress in that direction without there being potential injury or foolery. So this is pretty cool. I've always been on that road down there, so it's so cool to be up where the animals walk. I was wondering earlier if I'd be able to walk along these animal paths, because these, when I'm out there and I look over there, I'm like, how the hell am I going to bridge that gap? But then the animals, I mean, they just hug the mountain, and then the gap is so tiny when you actually just walking along the mountain instead of only along the edge. I suppose it's the same concept as the roads coming in to the ravine down there. It's bigger because it's further down the foot of the mountain, hey? Makes sense to me. Also, I'm pretty sure that was just some kind of locust earlier, because I've heard far too many of that noise for it to be that many snakes out here in the bush. I think it was just a little locust saying, hey, I'm a snake, get away. Which worked, because it thought I was a big pink and blue predator coming to eat it or kill it, and its noise very much worked on me. So I don't even know if that theory is true. It's a theory, don't quote me on that. Oh, look at this guy. Hey, what you doing? not gonna hurt you. Oh, so cool. I think it's so f***ed up how everything in nature is like always scared it's gonna die or trying to kill something. Like every nature documentary I've watched, they're like, this beautiful creature, and then it got eaten! Or like, oh no, it got away, and then the thing that was trying to eat the thing that got away gets eaten by something bigger. Like, damn, nature, come on. Do we all just have to eat each other all the time? So uncool, man. Yeah, what was I saying? The trails. So, absolutely anybody can do what I'm doing. I just wouldn't do it if you've not done much of this before, because it takes a steady foot.
7 seconds later.
Oh my god! Oh my god! And reactions and know-how to not fall down the mountain. I wouldn't die, but I would get hurt. And that's not the aim of the game. So if you were wondering how I know that these are zebra paths, it's for two reasons. One, my friend Morton told me last night while we were walking on a zebra path that zebras walk in single file, and that out of all the game on this reserve, they are the ones that do that the most. So these very well worn, I mean this one's not so well worn, but some of the really well worn paths are more than likely mountain zebra paths, because zebras like to walk in single file. Another reason that I know that there are zebra paths is because of all the millions of mounds of poo that I have walked past along my journey. Of course, now that I'm telling you about it, I cannot find any poo, but there has been a lot of poo on my path. And those are the two very scientific reasons as to why I believe that I'm walking on a zebra path. Love these little ladybug guys. I had never seen orange, yellow ladybugs before. I hope you can see it. Until I came here. And now I'm used to being covered in yellow ladybugs. They're pretty cute. I've been walking along. I picked myself up a stick. I usually walk with a stick when I'm walking, but I left the house with the intent of running today and ended up on an adventure instead, so I didn't bring my stick. I like to use sticks when I walk off of the main roads, just to, this one's not doing as well as the usual one, but just to tap some rocks every now and then and push some bushes and stuff, just to kind of make a noise so that snakes know I'm here, so that they get out of here. Yeah, once again, my love for snakes is big, but my knowledge about them is pretty mediocre. So until I know more, I'm not gonna engage, because that's dangerous. Not that I fear nature, but I do respect her. I respect nature very deeply, and I believe respect for nature is how you avoid problems with nature. Look at this bone. So that is, I'm not sure, maybe like a shin bone of something. Maybe a donkey or some kind of antelope. This land has been in drought for a long time now, We had some good rain recently. The dams have got some water in them. Hopefully it's the beginning of the rainy season, but yeah, a lot of animals didn't make it through the drought, so there's quite a few skeletons. Wow, look at that. There's another bigger one. Piece of vertebrae. So something died here quite a while ago, because it's obviously already fully decomposed. Whoa! Okay, let's see what it was. Yo, that's a lot of bones. Yo. Shame, so something died like up here somewhere. And the bones have been making their way down the mountain. Sure. Something big. That is big. Whatever it was decently big. Okay, that is trippy. I found the hoof. So that's the bottom of the hoof. Sorry. And that's where the bone, it's like the ankle. Another bone would have slotted in there. How crazy is that? I've never seen that in my life before. Wow! Kind of creeps me out a little bit, to be honest. There's another one up here. Oopsie. Oh, where did I see it? Here. Here's the other hoof. How mad is that? The bone's gone from inside of that one. Yeah. I want to say zebra. I do want to say zebra. But we shall have to see. We'll get that confirmed later. Oh, it's an anthill that hasn't been attacked by the aardvark. That is quite a rare sighting in these mountains. Oh, it actually looks like it has, and it's just been fixed up. So, up until now, I've been coexisting quite peacefully with these little guys. And now, as soon as I was making that video about how cute they are, they started biting me. Ow! And there's quite a few of them out here. This one just landed next to the camera here. Ah, they're all over me! Oh my god, they're trying to eat me! I don't know what's up with that. We were good friends until a few minutes ago, and then I acknowledged my love for them, and they decided that meant they could prey on me. It's pretty gnarly. Little slug.
Here are some nice pictures of a rock with me in the background.
So I have climbed down into a ravine. Yeah. See if I can get into one of the valleys that I've been looking down on for weeks now, but from above. And I finally decided to climb down and see if I can make my way through down to the bottom of the valley. We'll see, because it is a waterway. Oh, it's so beautiful in here. It's getting serious. The cap got turned around because it was blocking my view in these tight crawling spaces. So the cap has gone into cool dude mode, and hopefully we'll get through the crawl spaces now. Whew. Adventure is out there! I found some kind of rodent skull. I would say rodent from those front teeth and the size of it in this little cave in the ravine. Obviously water flows here when it's when it's had a lot of water. There's lots of little bones in here actually. I wonder if animals bring food here and eat it, because there's lots of tiny, look at those tiny little bird bones in there. There's some bigger bones here. Yeah, so something definitely brings its prey in here. I don't know if you can see, there's quite a few little bones, not little, in this cave. So I feel like this may actually be where something lives, or where something comes once it's caught something and eats it. Pretty creepy, but also very interesting. Gonna lie, it's pretty creepy in this ravine, all on my own, seeing skeletons and the eerie silence. Of this valley. It's pretty creepy, but I know that I can feel, and this is something I've spent a long time learning about myself. The fear that I'm feeling right now is not an instinctual I'm in danger fear. It's just a creep, a bit of a spook from being somewhere I've never been before, not knowing what animals live here. But yeah, as I said, don't do this at home. There's a weaver nest here. You see that? My perception of fear is a little bit different to the average human being. I call myself brave. I'm hooked on something. I call myself brave. I'm sure a lot of people would just call me dumb. But fortune fears the brave and or dumb, hey? This is pretty cool. I came from that way, and there's a path going that way. That's the way the river continues, but I'm at a point where the rivers converge from the mountain. I'm gonna go that way because that's the way I'm headed back. Mind these guys, these thorns are absolutely horrid. I've still got one stuck in my finger from the other day. Check it out. Everything in Africa has thorns on it. Not everything, but many things. Many things in Africa have thorns on them. Sit down slowly in case there are thorns. We made spikes from buttocks and animal poo. Relax. The longer you sit still for, the more you see. All the thousands of little bugs crawling along the floor. The fine detail of the spider webs and the ant pathways. But they can smell and therefore see, because they see through smell. But we can't see or smell. Nature really is incredible. What I'm sitting on right now is like the most perfect compost ever, and nature's just creating it for itself, to nourish itself from what has died, from what once lived. It's such a beautiful system, and we're meant to be a part of it. We are a part of it. We're just a bit of a dysfunctional part of it at the moment. But my hope for humanity is that we'll find our place in the chain of being, in the circle of life, because that is where we belong. So I was just thinking about how glad I am that I live in South Africa and not somewhere like Australia, where like a huge percentage of the wildlife is deadly. Most things in South Africa are more scared of me than I ought to be of it. So it's more scared that I'm going to kill it than it wanting to kill me. Yeah, and as I heard that, I heard something like running away from me. I don't know what it was, but there's something up here on the hill. Sounded quite big. Maybe some kind of antelope. Ran away from me because I was clunking in my clunky human fashion and obviously spooked it. I guess I'm grateful that that wild creatures run away from me rather than towards me aggressively. I wouldn't mind meeting them, but I would rather they run away than attack.
7 seconds later.
There's birds. Oh my god, okay, that's a snake. I'm getting the out. Okay, so I was just in a riverbed and a puff adder came along the riverbed right next to my head, like maybe a meter or so away, not right here, but further away. But it was like at eye level with me. And it's the second time only I've seen a puff adder in the wild, and it was like at eye level. It really spooked me. But it was very interesting because it was like coming to check me out. So I felt a bit bummed that I just ran scared. But I also really learned to respectfully fear nature, to not engage with things that I don't know about. I've just been humbled to realize that I've maybe been a bit callous in my trudging through the riverbeds today. Perhaps I should become more empowered with information and strategy before I do that again alone, because that was a potentially dangerous situation that I put myself in out of ignorance and a minor tinge of arrogance. So I'm grateful to have had that experience to humble me, to realize that I have a lot to learn, and just because I'm brave in nature doesn't mean that I'm safe always in nature. Not that I want to fear nature, I really don't want to fear nature, but I feel the way to feel safe in nature is to become informed and not to be arrogant and ignorant and just expect to be safe, because it's the wild. That snake and I are strangers, and it doesn't know my intentions, and I didn't know its intentions, so I guess the best thing I could have done was just give it the space that I did and run the away. My heart was in my chest. It was a good experience. Somebody lives here.
So this burrow that I found was actually made by an aardvark, and since this walk I've learnt that warthogs don't actually burrow their own holes. They don't make their own homes. Warthogs live in the holes that the aardvarks make when they're looking for food. So that's quite a cool symbiotic relationship. But this particular burrow looks like it would have just been an aardvark looking for food, and it's just been kind of left because it's too shallow and dirty to have anybody living in it at the moment.
Don't know whose poo that is. It's quite small.
So this was kudu poo.
Don't know what that is, but it sounds a bit scary. Might just be an insect. I hope so.
So I did some research, and this noise was being made by an insect called a cicada, which is found in many parts of the world, but in South Africa we have this version of the cicada. And the noise that I was hearing, that rattling noise, was actually made by a part of their body. It's called their timbal organ, which is a part of the male cicada that they use to attract female love interests. So I wasn't hearing a rattlesnake, which isn't even present in South Africa. We only have puff adders. So yeah, this is that noise was a cicada noise, and I was hearing the timbal gland vibrating because it was trying to attract mates. They were all trying to attract a mate. So this big bone that I found was in fact a shin bone. Yeah, and it turns out from my deductions that it was a zebra, based on the size of the bones and also on the hoof that I then found. That was definitely a zebra hoof. And actually that shin bone that I initially found fits straight into the ankle bone there. Morton also explained to me that they don't really have ankles the way humans do. They don't have as much of a hinge as we do, so that shin bone would have fit straight into that hoof that I found there. I said that I thought the skeleton was quite old because it had already decomposed, but I actually realized that there's a lot of crows and scavenger birds and animals in this area, so the skeleton could have actually not been as old as I thought it was because it would have just been scavenged. Nature's wild, but also very resourceful. There's never any waste in nature. So here I said that ants see through smell, which wasn't 100% accurate. As humans, we are dependent on our senses, as all creatures are, for direction and all that kind of stuff. Ants, while humans primarily are dependent on eyesight for direction and guidance and that kind of thing, ants are primarily dependent on their smell sense. So they follow smells to find places or mates or food. And then once they've found whatever it was that they're looking for, they leave a trail from where they were back to their home, to their nest. And then they actually have this thing called a social stomach, which is so the first time they find a food, they will consume a little bit of the food, and then it'll go into their social stomach, which they take home to the nest, and they share it. So kind of regurgitation. They share the food with their nest mates, with their colony, and then the ants then that are interested in this food then go follow them back along their scent trail of pheromones and find the food. And the more ants that go along the trail, the stronger the scent gets, because each ant that goes along the trail leaves a trail of pheromones. And how crazy is this? I mean, how small are ants? We all know ants are absolutely tiny. And it says here, the brain that controls all of this has a volume of about 1/1000th of a cubic millimeter. I mean, we can't even comprehend how small that is. I couldn't show you that. And may contain somewhere between 20,000 and 100,000 nerve cells. How incredible are ants? These tiny, tiny little creatures, and they have such a complicated and well-designed nervous system that is able to read such finite information and follow it so accurately. I find that so incredible. It makes me think of that line in my song Nature Provides, where I said, a lot goes on that we don't see, and that always makes me think of the tiny little animals in the soil and everything that goes on in nature that is out of humans' perceptual realm, albeit vision or out of our sensory realms. There's so much that goes on that we don't see. I mean, imagine the complex processes going on in a tiny little ant's brain to smell those things and leave the trails and know to consume it and to go back to the nest. I just find nature absolutely incredible. So, boys and girls and cave trolls, that concludes episode 1 of Ashtree's Adventures. I hope you enjoyed the adventure, and I hope you maybe learned something. I learned many things that day, and on researching things afterwards. I love how we can always learn about nature, and I love that the internet is an infinite resource that we can find information and empower ourselves with information of. Isn't it incredible? Yeah, so thanks. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences with poo or bones or insects or ladybug bites. And let me know if you learned anything. And please ask any questions if you have any. Thank you. Goodbye.